since I posted an update. I went pretty hot and heavy for the first couple of days, and then, as I suspected, it's petered out a little bit. And I'm certainly going to keep making videos. People have been really welcoming of me in the community, and I've very much enjoyed doing them and had some fairly good response. But, well, I'll tell you just something personal. I'm a high school teacher, and right now we're gearing up for the school year to start up again. And actually we have students in the classroom for the first time tomorrow. So my days have really been consumed with preparation for the students. And I've been doing this, not for a million years. I haven't been doing this even for a decade, but I'm a veteran at this point. And I've done it for a number of years, and each year it really never gets any easier. The preparation leading up to the beginning of the year. I always have the same anxieties, the same weird sense of self-doubt, and sometimes it becomes very difficult for me to focus on anything other than work, because, and even though this may sound a little self-aggrandizing, I just think teaching is a really important position. I just take it very seriously, and I feel like I have this real obligation to my students to be the best I can be for them. And the weight of that responsibility kind of gets to me this time every year. So today, I just wanted to hop on and make a video because I had a little bit of free time this afternoon. And I thought I would do a reading from a book that I rather like. A favorite author of mine is Hermann Hesse, who's a German writer. And he wrote some really excellent novels, including Siddhartha, which is probably his most famous, and The Glass Bead Game, and Steppenwolf, and Damien. But actually my favorite of his books is called Beneath the Wheel. And I think I have a real connection to Beneath the Wheel because it's a satirical book about education, and specifically the nature or the attitude that people who are in academia have about their profession and about the students who are in their charge. And basically, Hesse's idea is that people who are teachers, who are lifelong educators, they're often very good people, and they have really great intentions, and they believe in their profession, and they believe in what they do. But over time, their ideas about proper educational methods can become corrupted, and that the educational system, which is ostensibly designed to empower, educate, and assist in students' growth and development, can ultimately become something that is stifling and oppressive. Thus the title of this idea of being beneath the wheel of education. So it's a very dry, satirical, blackly or darkly humorous book, and I just wanted to read this very short section. So here it is, and then afterwards I'll just give a little bit of an update and kind of a ramble about my own thoughts about education, if anybody's interested in sticking around. The principal had taken genuine satisfaction in guiding and observing the growth of this ambition which he himself had kindled. It is wrong to say that schoolmasters lack heart and are dried-up, soulless pedants. No, by no means. When a child's talent, which he has sought to kindle, suddenly bursts forth, when the boy puts aside his wooden sword, slingshot, bow and arrow, and other childish games, when he begins to forge ahead, when the seriousness of the work begins to transform the roughneck into a delicate, serious, and an almost ascetic creature, when his face takes on an intelligent, deeper, and more purposeful expression, then a teacher's heart laughs with happiness and pride. It is his duty and his responsibility to control the raw energies and desires of his charges and replace them with calmer, more moderate ideals. What would many happy citizens and trustworthy officials have become but unruly, stormy innovators and dreamers of useless dreams, if not for the effort of their schools? In young beings there is something wild, ungovernable, uncultured, which first has to be tamed. It is like a dangerous flame that has to be controlled, or it will will destroy. Natural man is unpredictable, opaque, dangerous, like a torrent cascading out of uncharted mountains. At the start, his soul is a jungle without paths or order, and, like a jungle, it must first be cleared and its growth thwarted. Thus, it is the school's task to subdue and control man with force and make him a useful member of society, to kindle those qualities in him whose development will bring him to triumphant completion. So, I think that's kind of an interesting little passage because it achieves a couple of goals. First off, it states some really admirable things about education and educators, namely that they want to inspire. They want, at least a good educator wants to make his or her students productive, contributing members of society who are independent thinkers and who are able to harness their own power for good and to be able to fulfill their own intellectual potential. At the same time, there's some really trenchant commentary in there, and I see this too often with teachers, I think, who have started to phone it in or have been in the job a really long time. Education is a job that, or being a teacher is a job that, to say that it's difficult is kind of an understatement. And I'm not saying this to say that there aren't other people who do more difficult jobs or more important jobs. But when you're a teacher and you're in a classroom and it's just you and 30 students, there's something simultaneously beautiful and terrifying about that. Every year, I go into the classroom for the first time and I see all of these students looking at me and knowing that they expect so much from me. Well, at least the ones who want to be there. And I feel as though I have to work very hard to live up to their expectations. But at the same time, I have to not take myself so seriously. I think, especially in America, we run the risk of creating an educational system that stifles creativity, that stifles the individual, that has to, as Hesse says, essentially break the individual soul, the individual spirit, in order to craft something more refined out of that. I love the way he talks about human nature as being this torrent, this raging torrent of ambition and emotion and innovation. But, in the same breath he talks about that, and then he talks about education basically putting a dam up on the other side of this torrent, stopping the stream to a trickle and channeling it into something more quote-unquote useful. And that's such a danger. And I'm constantly worried about stifling my students' creativity. And part of the problem that we run into in America is that the people who are paying for education, funding it, allocating resources for it, they want to find ways to measure performance in kind of objective or empirical ways. So as such, testing becomes a very big part of the educational experience. Standardized tests, test results, surveys, empirical data. And because teachers especially know that these are the metrics by which they are being graded, this tendency arises to teach to those metrics. And as a result, education becomes something that is very restrictive, very limiting, and very standardized. And I think there's a real danger there. I certainly am not immune to this pressure. I feel pressure every year to live up to the standards of my school, to be able to bring in good test results. And as such, I have to admit a certain degree of my teaching has become about teaching to a test, or teaching to fulfill a standard. At the same time, I want to stimulate my students' creativity. I want education to be something that, rather than stifling them, gives them the tools to become creative thinkers, innovators, and individuals. And I don't ever feel like I'm especially successful at that. I think kind of the mark of a good teacher is somebody who never feels as though they've completely done their job well. Often, I think teachers, it's very easy to become stale in your job, to teach the same thing every year, to use the same worksheets, the same presentations, to approach the material in exactly the same way. And over time, it becomes rote. It becomes something that you phone in. And I'm terrified of that happening to me. So every year, even though once I kind of get into the swing of things a few weeks into the year, I'm always really worried at the beginning. How is my pedagogy going to be? Am I going to be able to give these students the tools they need? Or am I simply going to be a tool of oppression myself? And as a result, I lose a lot of sleep. We've had teacher in services over the past week or week and a half, and I don't think I've had a complete night of sleep for any of those nights. So tomorrow is our first day with students, and I'm excited about it, obviously. I'm always pleased to see students that I've had in the past and to meet new ones. But there's real anxiety there, and I've never really found a good way to harness that or channel it. So yeah, I don't have any overt political message here. I don't really have an agenda for this. Just wanted to give a little bit of an update, kind of where I'm coming from and my thoughts on my profession and a little bit on education at the same time. So if anybody listened to this all the way through, thank you very much for listening, and I will be back in a day or two with some more poetry. I'm looking at doing some romantic and gothic poetry this time around, and I should have that up in a couple of days. So thank you as always, and thank you very much to all of my new subscribers. I can't believe, I've got about 70 subscribers right now, and I thought, maybe 4 or 5 people at tops would listen to my videos or have anything nice to say about them. So it's really a good feeling to see that there are at least a few people out there who enjoy my videos, find them relaxing or interesting or engaging or funny in some small way. So thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you again soon.